Welcome to Awakening Spiritual Intelligence. Today, the theme of our gathering is intention. It's great to be here with you all, whether you're here in person or watching the recording. I'm Pauline. I'll be your tech host for today, and feel free to ask me any questions. And with that, I will hand it over to Yosi.
Thank you. Thank you, Pauline. And thank you all that are here, all the hearts and bodies and minds and spirits, new and familiar faces. So thank you for joining us. And yeah, so before we take some time and to shine more light into our hearts and see what's there, what we're longing for, what we're intending, what we're wishing to manifest in our lives, let's see if we can weave together this web of hearts. And so if you're willing, please type into the chat where your heart and body are physically located. Even if your spirit is encircling the globe, the sun, which in fact we all are at about 1,000 miles per hour around the globe, and 67,000 miles around an hour around the sun. So, but kidding aside, it'd be nice to know where you're plugging in from. Okay, we have Edmonton, Canada, Kathy, Sonia from San Diego, welcome back. Laura, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, great. Santa Rosa, California, Angela, welcome back, good to have you. Pauline, Mill Valley, Catherine, San Jose, Deborah, blessings from the wherever, and I am in Santa Cruz, California. Blessings from Wisconsin, wherever they're coming from, it's all good. They're blessings. So, well, thank you. So let's just take a moment and feel this web of connection of all these souls plugged into this grid that connects us all over the internet, physically, although it's going through satellites and under the ocean, whatever those signals that connect us are plugged through. But spiritually, it's going through some non-dimensional reality, or however way you think about it. If you're willing to, then let's see what is moving through your heart, through your being, and just type in a couple of words or a sentence or a couple of adjectives into the chat about what you're experiencing. And it could be anything from joy to sadness to despair to ecstasy to whatever it might be. Tenderheartedness, excitement, smiling, newness, open, curious, loving spring weather, green trees and flowers, frustration, heaviness, but also some openness, some tired of being mired in the muck, excited to be moving out of trauma, thrilled to be alive. Great. Well, I love your openness and willing to name the light, the shadow, the beauty, the frustration. So all of you, all of us is human, all of it is welcome here. So thank you, thank you. And so let's tune into our hearts again. And I know this whole event is about intention, but let's just, and intention happens at many levels, as I will talk about, but let's see what your intention in coming here to this gathering is. So again, if you're willing, please put that into the chat. Live more in my heart, not in my head. Connect with kindred souls. Let's see, it's live more in my heart, not in my head, reconnecting with my purpose, to open to something different than my habitual stuckness, to tap into my intentions in my relationships and career, get more clear about my calling, purpose, service. Beautiful. Well, these are all powerful, beautiful intentions. So, yeah. So yes, for sure, that's what we're here, is to clarify and deepen our intention. And you know, and I will talk more about intention and how they're different from goals or resolution. So, but before we do that, I want to rewind. I don't know how many of you heard the last piece of music that was playing in the waiting room, which is from a famous, one of my favorite Rilke poems. And Pauline, perhaps you can type in the chat the link to the YouTube music performance that is by Jamie Saber, I believe. But the title of the poem is, and has different translations, you might find different versions of it, but basically it's go to the limits of your longing. So God speaks to each of us as we are made, then walks with us silently out of the night. These are the words we dimly hear. You sent out beyond your recall. Go to the limits of your longing. Embody me. Flare up like a flame and make big shadows I can move in. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me. Nearby is the country they call life. You will know it by its intensity. Give me your hand. So I don't know about you, but this poem speaks to me at many levels. But one of the themes here is to let everything into us and go to the limits of our longing and hold hands. So let's metaphorically hold hands here with each other, support each other for the next couple of hours together. So, okay, we're talking about intentions, and it might be obvious, but I'd like to repeat it still. Why intentions are important? Basically, intentions are what points us in the direction that we're going, and otherwise we're lost. And if we don't know where we're going nowhere. We get lost. So the intention is like our GPS, like our North Star or compass, or whatever the metaphor. They are what keeps us on track through the journey of life. It could be in a minute while meditating, we set our intention to focus on our breath or on our belly or on our mantra, or it could be our intention for an hour in a meeting. What is our intention? I want to connect with someone in a business meeting or personal meeting. I want to listen. I want to understand. Or it could be for our entire lifetime. What is our greatest intention? To know spirit, to know God, to actualize our potential, however way you think about it. And intentions can change. So you don't have to be locked into one intention for your entire life. But the intention at whatever scale is like the rudder of the boat that keeps us heading in the right direction in the stormy seas of life, because waves come at us and different things. We get emails, things, crises. We have to be evicted from our home. Whatever, our landlord does something, our boss demands something. So these things throw us off, and we need to come back to our intention to remind ourselves what it is we want to manifest, express, and where we're going. So I want to clarify a little bit the distinction between an intention and a goal and a resolution, because many of my clients don't understand the difference, or it might be subtle, but I think it's important. So let's take a simple example. Let's say you're about to meditate for 2 minutes, and your meditation practice is to focus and place your attention somewhere. It could be your mantra or your lower belly or your hara point, and follow the sensations of your breath there. So what's the difference if I say my goal for the next 2 minutes is to place my attention on my hara? Or I say my intention for the next 2 minutes is to place my attention on my hara. Or I am resolved for the next 2 minutes to place my attention on my hara. Can you feel the difference? Yeah, thanks, Pauline. Hara is the lower belly. I'll talk some more about it, but it's the energetic center that martial artists call the hara. It's about 3 finger widths lower than the belly button, and similarly in towards the spine. But anyway, what's the difference between saying this is my goal for the next 2 minutes, this is my intention, this is my resolution? If you say this is my goal and your attention drifts, or my attention drifts for a moment, then I've already failed. I haven't achieved my goal. So I might as well give up and move on. And all the more so with a resolution. They're very rigid. They're all or nothing propositions. But if I say this is my intention and I find that my attention drifts, then I can remember my intention and return to the sensation of the breath in the lower belly. So it's a practice that keeps me back and gets me back on track, unlike a goal, which is a fail, succeed, or resolution, which are all or nothing propositions. So the same principle applies to something longer than a 2-minute meditation. If I say my intention is not to eat ice cream after 9 p.m. or my goal is not to eat any ice cream after 9 p.m. Now, if I take my first bite after 9 and that was my goal, then I failed. So I might as well eat the rest of the pint. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. I do from time to time, but whether it's ice cream or pizza or whatever. But if I say it's my intention to not eat ice cream or pizza after 9 o'clock, I could take the first bite and then say, oh, wait, this is my intention. I can stop and get back on track. So again, intentions are, I find, more helpful in many situations. And that's not to say that we don't need goals in life. I think sometimes we need specific goals, like I need to save enough money for a particular thing. I want to buy a new car, a home, or go to a workshop, or my retirement. So my goal is to save $100 a month to put down for my down payment on this new car. Now, it could be both a goal and an intention. So if it's just a goal and I fail it, then I could splurge that month. No, if it's my goal, but also my intention, well, maybe I didn't hit my $100 goal, but it's my intention to save as much as I can, or close to 100, then maybe I'll save 80 or 90 this month. So anyway, I hope I'm making clear why intentions are important, how they keep us in the game, and why they're often useful. And not to say that goals or even sometimes resolutions are needed, where something is kind of a life and death, and any small slip is a disaster. But the problem with resolution, and that's why most New Year's resolutions fail, is that the small slip up and we've kind of failed, and then we kind of give up altogether. So, intentions then are a practice, and they build our muscle, albeit in meditation, how we eat, our diet, our exercise, our spiritual path, whatever it is. So I want to share a quote here that And so first it's an intention, then a behavior, then a habit, then practice, then second nature. Then it is simply who you are. So I hope that all makes some sense of how repeating our intention, developing a practice around it, developing the muscle changes us over time. And even a small change in the degree and the angle of a line, if you extend it far enough, you can end up in a very different place. So one of my spiritual intelligence research, which is my doctoral research that I did on spiritual intelligence, said is that they were saying, it's been said that the winds of grace are always blowing, but it's up to me to put up the sails. I always remind myself that the sails are my intentions. So it's worth remembering that intentions can be applied at any level. Like I said, from a minute in a meditation, how I show up in a meeting, how I want to build rapport or be a listener or advocate or be assertive, whatever my intention is. It can be an intention for a day or a week, like I want to be more spacious in my schedule. I want to spend less time on my phone, computer, or social media. It could be a month. I want to exercise regularly, say 3 times a week, meditate or pray daily. Those could all be intentions. It could be an intention for a year. This year, I want to learn a new language or learn to play an instrument or what have you. Or it could be more open-ended about life. I want to be in a passionate and conscious, loving relationship with my beloved, or I want to actualize my higher potential in the service of life. So the point is the intention could be set at any scale, and it could be small, big, or deep things. And they don't need to be static. As we move through different stages of life, different intentions may be appropriate. Earlier in life, I might have wanted to focus on building my career and professional network. And then at certain stages, my focus shifted to being in a relationship, or now my intention is more about giving back. And I feel that's a natural evolution in the cycle of life, depending on where we are personally. I also want to say that intentions can be organized hierarchically and can be mutually reinforcing. So you might want to cultivate the intention of growing spiritually, but to grow spiritually, you may set the intention, I want to find a teacher or a guide, or I want to find and belong to a supportive spiritual community, or I want to build the intention to engage in a regular spiritual practice. All of those support my primary intention of growing spiritually. And similarly, I might have the intention of living a healthy lifestyle, which again may support several intentions like quality of sleep and exercise and diet. And all of those kind of come together to reinforce the primary intention of health and well-being. So my invitation for today, I'm going to shift a little bit and talk about the relationship of intention and prayer, which are somewhat related but different. So those of you who've got the invitation for today via email, I shared one of my heart's deep prayers that I'm holding these days based on what's happening in the world. And when I'm talking about prayer now here, I'm talking about a particular kind of prayer, which is a wishing or a petition or supplication, which can be either for ourselves or for others or the world. We could be praying for someone in recovery, going through a health challenge in a hospital, going through chemotherapy or whatever it might be. And obviously there are many other forms of prayer, such as gratitude or exaltation, but here I'm talking about a particular one which more relates to intention. So I think that prayer, whether you believe that prayer has any effect, and there's good research that suggests that when we pray for others' health, there's been controlled studies that actually contributes to them. That's kind of a metaphysical belief or not. But whether you believe in that or not, um, you might still want to pray, so let me actually recite this prayer that I did, and and uh, and you're welcome to join me if it resonates, or just listen and see how it affects you. O Great Spirit, the infinite mystery that animates all reality, please, please, may there be justice and peace, mercy and prosperity for all of humanity. So this is just a prayer I've been holding and using daily currently in my practice. And so what does it have to do with intention? Um, so let me say a few words. And but actually, before I do, just take a moment and feel into, if you join me or not, what what was your experience in just listening or reciting this prayer for yourself, and to see how it impacted you. And if you care to, actually, perhaps you can type a word or two in the chat. Connect more deeply with my heart. Anyway, so what open to the mystery. So anyway, so you could keep you can keep tuning in, but I'll continue about the relationship of prayer and intention. And so in this prayer, I'm expressing one of my heart's deep longing, and if this is my longing for a world of justice and peace and mercy and prosperity for all of humanity, then I can set some intentions and support that, to support that. So like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So the more I tune into this prayer, this deep wish in my heart, the more I want to align my life, my behavior, and my actions with this prayer. So then I start to think about, how can I bring more justice and peace to the world? How do I embody and spread these qualities within and around me? So I may cultivate equanimity. I may cultivate listening. I may cultivate holding my ground, advocating my views with confidence, while also being open and receptive to others. So the intention, my prayer starts to point me to what I want to see in the world, and that starts to invoke some intentions to support that. So the prayer and the intention reinforce and support each other. And you may know or be aware that people in recovery, for example, in Alcoholics Anonymous or others, may pray to receive help to give them the strength to continue to abstain from whatever addiction they're working to free themselves of. The point is, our hearts naturally like to pray, and when we do and connect to the depth of our prayer, that can give us certain strength, even if it's through surrender. And we then can gather the strength to support our intention. And okay, enough talking. So we're going to hopefully move to some and some exercises. So today, and this is all experiential, these gatherings are meant to not just hear my pontification on these subjects. I hope that's useful still, but the main goal is to for you to experience some of that. So what we're going to do is I'll first explain the exercise, which will happen in dyads of inquiry that will help you connect with your intention and set some intentions around it. And but before we do that, I'll also guide you with a meditation that will help hopefully open the heart, calm the mind, so you can be more attuned and discover what is moving in your heart that your heart longs for. But we're going to first explain the exercise. So when we finish the meditation, you can move as quickly and smoothly as possible into the inquiry in the dyads, and you'll also have a quick bio break. But we'll explain the exercise and the inquiry questions, and then we'll take some questions to make that clear. That's all clear. And then I'll do the meditation, then you'll be in your breakout rooms and you'll do the exercise. Okay, so the exercise is in dyads, as I said. You'll find yourself in a breakout room with one other person. So first, you will each have a minute to introduce yourself. And like in previous meetings, Pauline will kind of be the timekeeper here, right? And you'll announce over the thing that's time to switch and so on. So you don't have to worry too much about the timing. Pauline will take care of that for us. And then then one person will begin by being the asker and the other person the responder. And the question will be, tell me a deep desire of your heart. And the person takes a moment, tunes into their heart, and answers whatever it might be. My deep desire of my heart is, to find my calling. A deep desire of my heart is to live in a beautiful home, whatever it might be. And then the person who asked the question says thank you. You wait for 1 second, and then you follow with the next question. What do you experience in feeling and naming this desire? So once the person names this desire of the heart, we want to help them connect with the felt sense of having this desire. And so we're asking, what do you experience in feeling and naming this desire? So they might say, oh, I feel my heart come alive, or my heart opens, or I feel whatever it might be. I feel the depth of my longing. I feel my yearning. I feel whatever. And so again, the person who asks says, thank you. And then they go with the third question is, tell me something you might be willing to do in support of this desire. And so the idea is we want to identify the intention, but also want to start build the energy and the support so we can manifest it in the world. And that has to do with our willingness to follow up on our intention in whatever small ways it might be. So I want to move to a new home. What am I willing to do? I'm willing to start looking at Craigslist or whatever it is that might be the thing that would move us in that direction. And then again, they answer, thank you. And what do you experience as you name this willingness? So when we name our willingness to move towards that which we wish for, then we feel empowered, we feel strength, and we want to reinforce that to sense, okay, I'm willing to do something, and that gives me some hope, some courage, some strength, and so on. So for each intention, we're trying to deepen the felt sense of it, and then deepen into the support the felt sense that will give us the support to follow through. I hope that all makes sense, and Pauline and I can now demonstrate it, and then we'll open it up for questions.
All right, Yosi, would you like to be the asker or would you like to be asked?
Okay, gosh, I'm given the choice.
We'll pretend that we already had our minute each to introduce ourselves because that's the first thing that
Okay.
we break out.
Oh, good point. Okay, I'll ask you if you don't mind.
Sure. And just so everyone knows, I put the questions in the chat so you can follow along here. And also when you're in the breakout, you can come back to the chat window to see these questions.
Okay, so tell me a deep desire of your heart.
To let go of self-critical thoughts.
Thank you. And what do you experience in feeling and naming this desire?
I experience a sense of expansion and lightness and joy.
Thank you. And tell me something you might be willing to do in support of this desire.
I'm willing to dedicate more time to meditating so I can have more awareness of when these thoughts come up. And also to spending more time around people who I love and who I feel myself and that I'm not judging myself when I'm around them.
Thank you. And what do you experience as you name this willingness?
I experience a yearning. It's like a calling within me to have this sense of peace and freedom in myself.
Thank you. Tell me a deep desire of your heart.
I have a deep desire to live in community.
Thank you. And what do you experience in feeling and naming this desire?
There's a little bit of tingling, which I interpret as nervousness because it sounds a little edgy to be around people because I'm an introvert.
Thank you. And tell me something you might be willing to do in support of this desire.
Keep spending time with different people, especially people living in communities, so that I can start to embody and feel more comfortable with this concept of being around others more.
Thank you. And what do you experience as you name this willingness?
I actually feel more grounded in my belly and my legs and my feet.
Thank you. Okay, so I hope you get the sense. So you'll have 10 minutes. You'll go through these 4 questions and several intentions will come up. And then the person who answered now has 3 minutes to just express and speak and do kind of a mini inquiry what they've learned and what they experienced. So Pauline, do you want to share? We may not need to go for 3 minutes, but just kind of what's it like to name those intentions and go through this and what's happening for you now?
I feel more connected to my body, definitely. It felt a little bit vulnerable to share because there was some uncertainty or nervousness around at least one of the intentions. And I also just really appreciated noticing the expansiveness that I felt because I had this sense of the fears falling away. So we'll pretend that was 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you're bringing up something that I forgot to mention. One of the issues that happens often is we don't allow ourselves to feel our desire. And because we feel like, oh, if I allow myself to really own that this is what I want and I don't get it, I'm going to be disappointed. and I will feel like a failure and so on. And while that kind of self-protectiveness makes some sense, the problem is that it stifles our life force and it stifles our yearning and it deadens us. I mean, the way life works is we need to feel our desire, and that doesn't mean we get attached to it, but we need to feel a hunger to go and get some food. We need to feel the longing for the sun to go out and take a walk in nature. So it's desire, the wanting gives us the energy to go do things. And if we stifle our desires before because we don't think they're attainable, then we're just deadening ourselves. And we may not fail, but we fail to live. So as to quote Rilke again, the purpose of life is to be defeated by greater and greater things. So, the purpose is not to fail, but, go for something, and you attain it and you go for something bigger, more audacious, more empowering. So the purpose of life is to be defeated by greater and greater things.
Yeah, I really loved you naming that, Yosi, about how we can sometimes feel the fear around naming the intentions. Because this defeat, like Rilke is talking about, it can feel scary at first, but then we're cutting ourselves off from life.
Yeah. So, and then kind of one other thing about this exercise that you might, again, we were working with intention, but I was purposely bringing in this idea of what are we willing to do is because intent, to realize our intention, we have to take some action. So without, we can bring up another quote here. Intent without dedicated action is simply not enough. Action without clear intent is a waste. But it is when the two powerful forces are aligned that the energy of the universe conspires in your favor. So that's a quote from Steve Maraboli, which I like. So, all right. Bottom line is we're trying to activate the energy in your heart, the desire, your life force, and the willingness to take the smallest steps that move you in that direction, which yields more energy and confidence and empowerment.
Just curious, before we move into the meditation, Yosi, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad you remembered that.
Because we're going to do the meditation and then we're going to go basically into the dyads. And once you get to the breakout rooms, we're going to have about 5 minutes for you to take a little bio break if you need to use the bathroom or anything. And from that point on, I'll be announcing when it's time to start the introductions, when it's time to switch. And I do see a question. Angela asks, do we have 3 minutes each to go through all the questions? There's 10 minutes for each person to go through the 4 questions repeatedly. And then at the end of those 10 minutes of going through the questions about your desire and your willingness, then we have 3 minutes each to just share. The person who is answering the questions, like I did, I'll share for 3 minutes about your experience. And then you switch, so there's 10 minutes for the other person to answer, and then 3 minutes for that person to share.
Yeah, and just to clarify, it's not 3 minutes each. The person who answers gets the 3 minute for monologue. So one person answers the 4 questions in that sequence, and then they have 3 minutes. And then you switch. The person who answers asks the person who was asking, and then they answer for 10 minutes, and then they get 3 minutes for monologue, right? So each person gets a turn of 10 minutes plus 3, then 10 minutes plus 3. Does that making sense? Anybody? Feel
And
free to raise your hand and ask interactively rather than through the chat. It might be easier.
also, I do see Laura's question that, yes, you continue to get ask the questions for 10 minutes. So you repeat those 4 questions. When you get to the end, just start right back at the beginning.
The
I
only
go-
thing I'm not clear on is, do we switch? So does one person do questions and then reflections, and then the other person does questions and reflections, and you just keep going back and forth like that? Or does one person do it until 10 minutes are up and then you switch? Second one.
The second one.
Okay.
Yeah, one person asks for 10 minutes while one person answers for 10 minutes. At the end of that 10 minutes, the person who answers gets 3 minutes to tune in and reflect what came up for them and where they are having done this. Is that making sense?
That last little bit, no. I thought after the first 10 minutes, then the other person gets, then you swap?
So
No,
for example, when we did the demonstration, I was on the hot seat, if you'll call it that. So
Right.
I was being asked questions for 10 minutes straight. And then I'm still on the hot seat.
Oh, okay. The reflection is at the end after the 10 minutes. Sorry.
Exactly.
Okay, I got it now.
Great. All right,
yeah,
thanks.
the 3 minutes of reflection is the opportunity to integrate and kind of absorb and you might want to take those 10 minutes and take some notes. You could talk, but you can also just take some notes for yourself about what came up for you. I really felt strong desire and intention around these things, because during the 10 minutes, 5, 10 different things might come up. So you want to, at those 3 minutes, also say, wow, the one that I felt most resonant and most passionate about is this one. And that's where I want to focus. Because we have many desires and might have many intentions, but it's important to get clarity about what we want to focus on. So part of what the hope of those 3 minutes is to get kind of synthesize, integrate, and maybe feel into which one has the most resonance and energy.
Great. Thank you for clarifying, both of you. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Good to have you here, all. Okay, so we'll move into the meditation, which will take about 15 minutes, and then you'll be in the breakout room. And if you're not going to do the exercise, then we'll ask you at the end of the meditation to sign off so we don't put you in a breakout room, and then you can come back half an hour later because the exercise will take about half an hour. Okay, so I will explain the meditation a little bit. And to get started, you can find a comfortable position, seated, perhaps with your feet flat on the ground, feeling the weight of your legs and your body, as well as the support of the ground underneath you. The spine ideally is vertically aligned, but not rigid, supporting both the relaxation and the alertness, and serving as an energetic channel or an antenna sort of that connects the crown top of the head and towards the heavenly sky, and then through the pelvis and the legs to the earth below. So, as per before, I will follow this protocol and call it the Inspired Protocol. It's an acronym, and it's designed to calm the mind and awaken and enliven the body through our attention and breath. And we will touch into various points in the body, including the 7 chakras. And there are actually, according to some systems, more than 7. There's a chakra above the head, which is a 4th energetic center. And then there's kind of a chakra into the soil and the earth as well. But the point is that to activate these energetic centers and calm the mind, relax the body, which lets us connect into other dimensions of our experience. And in particular, as we talked about, because we want to activate the intentions and provide the support, I will pay some attention to the three main centers, which is the belly center, which is this hara point that we mentioned earlier. It's about an inch or two below the navel and similarly in towards the spine, away from the surface of the skin. And that's the center of embodiment and grounding and action. And then there's the heart center, which is actually at the center of the chest, not the organ of the heart. So it's slightly to the right of the organ. It's at the center of the chest at the heart level. And that's the center of compassion and love and joy and gratitude and devotion and so on. And then there's the head center, which is at the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is here at the level of the brow, about an inch in between the temples. And that's the center of vision and clarity and wisdom. So ideally, we bring all these centers alive and aligned so that our heart's longing and desire can be activated in a devotional way with the heart energy, but it's also, we have clarity of mind and vision of how that all comes up, and it all gets embodied in our action through the activation of the belly center. And so we'll just touch into these centers and feel into them, and that's a way to activate them during the meditation. So, okay. So again, feeling into our body, letting ourselves settle in the chair, feet flat on the ground, spine aligned. And we will begin with the inspired protocol. So first, the letter I, inward gazing. N, nostril breathing. S, spine supporting. Spirit soaring. P, posture aligning. I, inhaling, exhaling. R, relaxing, receiving, resting feet flat on the ground, connected to the center core of Mother Earth. E, expanding awareness. Sit bones, perineum, and pelvic floor. Entire pelvis, including the hip joints and pubic bone. Lower belly and hara point. Diaphragm and solar plexus. Heart, chest, and lungs. Throat. Jaw. Tongue. lips, cheekbones, nose, eye sockets, and the space between them at the brow, temples, and the space between them at the pineal gland, crown, top of the head, 10 inches above the head, back of the skull, back base of the skull at the occiput, back of the neck, upper shoulders, shoulder blades, and the space between them at the back of the heart, a foot behind the heart, arms, hands, legs, feet, entire skeletal and bone structure as it supports the whole body, including the tissues and the organs and the blood vessels, sensing the pulsating flow of the blood through the arteries, veins, and heart. Entire body and the space all around it. The space above the head, how high does it extend? And the space down below, how low does it go? And the space in front ahead, does it have an end? And the space in back behind, where does it end? In the space in the heart and chest, how deep does it descend? Sensing the totality and vastness of space as it envelops, surrounds, and permeates the body. D, deepening into essence. Dwelling in being. Doing nothing. Simply noticing, receiving, allowing. Allowing the totality of reality. Resting in pure being. The simplicity of I am. With its dynamic flow of ever-changing and evolving experience, arising fresh and anew, moment to moment, ever being, ever becoming. I am that I am. I will be as I will be. Continuing to abide and dwell in essence and being, letting the consciousness and the awareness settle down, drop in like a pebble through a body of water, slowly dropping to the lower belly, resting the attention at the lower belly, like at the bottom of a lake or the ocean. Continuing to follow the flow of the breath in the lower belly. And sensing into the texture, the quality of this area. Does it feel fluid-like, solid, or airy, spacious? Continuing to follow the flow of the breath in the lower belly for another breath or two. And on the next inhale, drawing the awareness, the attention, and the energy up the central channel to the center of the chest, the heart area. And sensing the quality of this space. Does it feel empty, spacious, solid, or fluid? Does it seem dark or light? And if you're seeing or sensing light, notice its color and its effect on you. And notice the source of the light. If there is such a source, where is it? And if it feels dark or empty like space, how is the dark space affecting you emotionally, your mood? And is it entirely dark, or is there a flickering or a star point of light somewhere? Continuing to abide and dwell in the heart center, listening, sensing, looking with the inner ears and eyes and fingers. And on the next inhale, drawing the attention, the energy, and the breath up further to the head center at the pineal gland. Placing the attention, the awareness, and the focus there, noticing what this area feels like. Is it like airy, spacious, or is it fluid or solid-like? Again, is it light or dark? What color? How does the light affect you? And 1 or 2 more breaths in this area. And on the next exhale, letting the awareness and the attention drop down again like a pebble through the heart and back, collecting at the lower belly. Pausing there for a breath. And then breathing by drawing the energy up from the belly, heart, head center. A small pause, fraction of a second, and exhaling back down to the belly. So continuing to breathe like that in your own pace, basically moving the awareness and aligning between the belly, the heart, and the head centers, bringing them into energetic connection and alignment. Okay, continuing to allow and abide in this state of being, letting the awareness now settle and dwell in the center of the chest, the heart area. Sensing, listening to the silence there, and including the sounds, the sound of this voice, these words, whatever other sounds, the sensations of the body, pressure, temperature. And when you're ready, you can let the eyes open and simply receive the light, the colors, the shapes, and without going out, without labeling things, naming things, just receiving all as perception, as sensations, as colors. So we will now move into the breakout rooms to do these exercises and dyads after a short bio break. And again, if you're not staying, you could sign off and return in just under half an hour. But I think first, Pauline, you're going to put us into the breakout rooms so we know where we are, and then you'll have a few minutes to stretch and do whatever you need.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pause the recording. Okay, welcome back from the breakouts, everyone. Yosi, you're muted.
Thank you all who survived this exercise and made it to the other side here. Good to see you. So we have a small group here remaining, which makes it that much more intimate and hopefully safer for you all to share and exchange. So I'm curious if anybody willing to speak up and share what it was like for you. What did you discover? Angela, good to see you.
You too. I'm just so thrilled with what just happened. I feel so graced and touched. I can't even begin to say what I got out of that. And it just reminds me, Yossi, of when we were in Berkeley and doing the inquiry in that group and just how much I got out of that. And yeah, I I'm trying to think like I'm so expanded. I'm trying to like put it, into concrete terms, but I think the meditation I've done, you know, I do a lot of meditation and a lot working with the three centers, but there was something when you had us go to each and then back down and then back up and then back down and the pebble analogy and the speaking about the integrating of the centers, and then the larger chakras above and below, and to the side, and the felt sense of the body all around. Like something really began to align in all my centers, and a lot of, yeah, I could see all the different places of holding or, you know, trauma and the lack of integration, and just began to really fluidly move. And in the meditation, I got this input that because I'm so open as a being, I have such a need for my environment to align with me because I'm so open. And it just was like such a profound realization. And then I worked on that and my incredible partnership with my partner, just I felt such resonance and such safety. And I felt we both went very deep and just in the moment, all this discovery. And I could say a lot, but I'll try to wrap it up. But thank you. That was
Sure.
wonderful.
What are you experiencing now in your belly and in your heart center?
Just, my belly feels really like tingly, like my heart is like little scared, but also like little um happy, you know, and
A little shy and happy?
yeah, like scared I might get hurt, but also like but I want to come out all the way to, through my whole body to my everything, like this longing for embodiment and my spirit and my soul all the way in, through.
Well,
Yeah.
great. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, everybody. Pauline, Yossi, wonderful.
Yeah, awesome. Anybody else willing to share? Oren, Laura? Oh, oh, Oren, go ahead. Laura, did you raise your hand? I wasn't sure. No? Okay. Oren, go ahead, please.
So the meditation was very relaxing for me. Meditations in general are very relaxing for me. I really find it's becoming more of my safe spot. And then the exercise, I could really dive into what I'm longing for, what I really want to do. And I know where I need to be, but the question is, how do I do it? How do I get there? And it was very helpful for me to try to understand that. Like having the question asked multiple times, the rounds of questions going over again and again and again, kind of fortified for me more of the kind of digging deeper into it, like asking that.
Uh-huh.
It was going deeper into the same desire and breaking it down and finding like the place, like the first step at least.
Mm-hmm. And so what's the impact of going back deeper and
It gave me the next move that I need to do. It's very clear to me what I need.
okay, so it gave you some clarity. Not only is the desire, but like what are you willing to do and what do you need to do to support that?
Yeah, it gave me a feeling of what I need to do. Usually I think about things a lot in my head,
Uh-huh.
but it clarified, okay, what's the next action? Like, don't think beyond that action, just do it. Just do that and then see what happens.
So take a step forward to manifest. Uh-huh. So it gave you some clarity. Uh-huh. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, if we're just kind of hoping, and it's great to hope and wish, but we want to align behind that and start expressing and manifesting. Okay, awesome. Anybody else willing to share? Kathy, good to see you back here again. And Laura,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I found my own intentions were quite vague. But then when it came to the part where I'm asking the questions of the other person, I felt more at that time rather than my own sharing.
Hmm.
And so that sort of alerted me to the idea that maybe what I really need is to connect with others more, which didn't come up as, a heartfelt intention, but
Hmm.
so I did enjoy the listening part more than my own sharing. I was quite self-conscious for my own part.
Yeah, well, it's vulnerable to share our deep heart's longing with someone we don't know them well, or sometimes as or more scary with someone that does know us. What if we reveal some secret about us? Yeah. But it's interesting, you connected with a desire through listening.
Yeah.
And you opened your heart perhaps in listening to the other. And then, yeah. And what's in your heart now?
Uh, I have trouble with, I don't know. I don't know what's in my heart, but I notice I'm smiling more than I was at the beginning of the meeting. So maybe
Okay.
that's a good indication.
Okay. So you have a smile on your face. Yeah. Yeah. Well, in Hebrew, the word for face is panim, which shares the same root as pnim, which is inside. So Oren here speaks Hebrew too, and he probably can attest to what I'm saying. So I'm not making it up. But panim, face, is a reflection of pnim, which is why we read people's emotional state mostly through their facial expression. There's 200 or more muscles in our face that express all kinds of nuance. So you could feel your smile on your face. And what's that like?
It's strange. I'm sort of disconnected from myself, I think, but I like that idea of maybe I'll just focus on my own face and what it's doing. Maybe my face knows better than I do.
Okay. Right now you're laughing. It's good to laugh with you. Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody else care to share? Yeah, Laura.
Share a little bit, just about
Can you
how.
speak up a little bit? It's good to
Oh,
hear you.
oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
I'll share a little bit on just how like beautiful the was and like how unexpected I think it was. And yeah, something I found interesting was like the more I talked, the more I was able to tap into like what my true desire was. Um, so it would like start with one and then it would progress into more like a
Mhm.
different desire. And so I find like I learned like how much it helps to like for me to just talk to keep talking it out and like and yeah, and to have like a supportive presence there. Yeah, it was a um really cool experience.
Yeah, so talking helps us clarify our things, which is why journaling, or Freud talked about the talking cure, talking and yeah, language creates our reality ultimately. And some traditions say in the beginning was the word, or God created the world through speech. So words are powerful, and we can feel the resonance when we speak truth. And when we say something shallow, we kind of feel it, and then we thought, oh, maybe there's something underneath that. Yeah. So you're nodding. What's happening now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree that when yeah, you just discover more through it. Yeah.
In speech, yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything else here? Okay, well, we have a few minutes. I'd like to suggest a couple other things before I announce what the next event will be. But so you could just tune back into yourself, into your heart, and pick any of the intentions that came up for you that has some resonance or power or that seem true, and just see what it's like to connect with that desire, that intention. And notice what it's like to simply become present and acknowledge this intention. And while being present to this intention, what happens to the body, the physiology, the body posture, the breathing, tension level, sense of aliveness, staying with the intention. What happens to your sense of openness, contraction, or expansion? Well, just noticing what's it like to be clear of our intention, of our desire, whether we realize them or not. I was looking for it, but I couldn't find. There's this tantric saying the object of desire is not its satisfaction, but its enjoyment. But so as you feel this intention, this desire, whatever it may be, trace it back to its source. Like, see where in your body, where in your psyche, what's the source of this desire? Where is it arising from? And what do you experience in that spot? So there's the desire, and then we're connecting with that, and then we're tracing it back to its source. And what's it like to connect to the source of the desire? So if you want to unmute, just shout out a few words about what's it like to feel the desire and then to connect to the source of the desire. What do you find at the source of the desire? Whether it's a desire for ice cream or for enlightenment. Okay. Connection with the divine. Healing of wound into gift. Yeah, what's it like to just feel the desire and trace it to its source? Connection with playfulness and humor. The source of love. Empty and spacious. Mhm. Is that empty and spaciousness pleasant or deficient, lacking? It's pleasant. It's a pleasant spaciousness. Sounds like no boundary. It's empty space. And what's the emotional effect of that empty spacious? More peaceful or calm or yeah, calm. Yeah, okay. Well, beautiful. Okay, so well, our next event is going to happen in I don't know if it's 4 or 5 weeks. I think it's Friday, the third Friday of the month, again, June. So it's the 21st, yes. And it will be on egolessness and spirit essence. So we will work on peeling beyond the usual identities of our personality and peeling the shell and looking beyond the veil to discover our essence, our spirit, which is the radiant starlight of our sacred spark of life. And it is from there that we can feel connected, first interconnected to ourself, interconnected horizontally with others, and something I'm calling now ultra connected, which is connected to all humanity, ultimately all life, and the transcendent dimension of life. So we feel connected to the ground of our being and the infinite mystery that animates all reality. So that's where we feel enlivened, empowered, radiant. And and from there, we can begin to unlock our limitless potential. So here's our mind-blowing, egoless thing. If you want to share this egoless, mind-blowing graphic. So we're going to try and blow our minds up and see what remains. So thank you all and for indulging my silly sense of humor. And thank you for joining me. And I hope you realize your highest and deepest intention. And yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
See you next month. Bye, Kathy.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, my pleasure, Angela. Thank you.